welcome to another episode of Head Sports. I'm your host, Brian Parker, along with my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove, who is, I guess, taking a break to do the show from playing on his grand piano in the back.
Decided to mess with some of these backgrounds.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. Yes, this is how the Zoom world has been functioning when people were out for COVID. You would look at their backgrounds and be like, oh man, you have such a lovely house. And they just laughing the whole way, like, yeah, it's called stock photos. But anyway.
Right.
That is funny. That's funny. Well, everybody, thank you for joining in. We are streaming live and direct on LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as YouTube. If you go over to YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, Empower TV Network. And make sure you also click on that little bell, too. It'll let you know anytime we go live or anytime we post any new content and material. So check us out there. Also, we air on our Roku and Amazon Fire. Adam's getting into it already. We air on our Roku and Amazon Fire TV channel. If you are a vendor that would like to advertise your goods and services on our channels and on our platforms, please send me a message to the Parker, P-A-R-K-E-R media @gmail.com. And let's try to figure out how we can get a 30 to 45 second commercial on that we will play for you over and over and over as many times. If you look on our streaming site on Amazon Fire TV or Roku, you'll also notice that not only do we have head-to-head sports all 3 seasons, albeit, but we also have our head-to-head show that airs Thursdays at 7 o'clock, all 3 seasons of that. We also have a lot of short films, some feature films, music videos, comedy shows, talk shows, podcasts, all kinds of things that can entertain you. So a lot of good stuff on there. And we're also looking for content creators that may want to put some of their content on the platform. Just, again, reach out to me at theparkermedia@gmail.com, and we'll certainly hook that up. Rand, any upcoming performances?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I get free commercials since I'm on this show. So
you damn right.
Everybody in the Charlotte area, please, Brian, you and your wife too. We have a show coming up at Amos's South End on February the 4th. Starts at 8 o'clock, so it's not too late for those that want to go to bed early. We probably won't hit the stage till 10, but they got some opening acts that are very good. It's going to open for us. It's going to be a hell of a show. Amos's South End, 8 o'clock. Downtown Charlotte, uptown Charlotte, whatever you prefer to call it, but be there for my Alice in Chains Sick Man cover band, or tribute band rather. We also have a No Doubt tribute band that's going to open for us, and a Pearl Jam tribute coming from the Raleigh area. It's going to be before that. So we're inviting everybody in the Charlotte area. Please come out to support this. It's going to be a big show.
Okay. Any cover on it?
Covers $12. You can get it $12 in advance. I think it's $15 at the door. So that's very reasonable.
Very reasonable. Plenty of parking around the area too, so don't worry about that. You may have to park a block down off of one of the side streets, but they have definitely plenty of parking down there. So yeah, definitely. All right, well, that sounds good. So I cannot believe it, have made it to the end of another NFL regular season. With a lot of bumps and twists and turns and curveballs and everything else, to use a baseball analogy in a football season. To get to this point, we have our 7 playoff seeded teams from each conference. Before we get to the games ahead, let's talk about the last week that happened. First, I got to give a nod again to the Pittsburgh Steelers, your Steelers, for not making the playoffs, but maintaining some consistency from an organization where consistency is very hard for a lot of organizations to Jermaine says, how about them boys? Adam says the Lions. Yeah, we'll definitely get in there. Oh, and Adam had while I was doing my whole plugging and everything, brought up Who Dey. So we'll definitely talk about Who Dey. But I wanted to give a nod to you Steelers real quick because they did end up winning their last two games to maintain a winning season in the regular season. That's not an easy thing to do. We've seen a lot of teams fall by the side. They go very high one year, and the next year they don't do diddly squat. So definitely congrats to you, Steelers, for being able to at least accomplish that, and hopefully have something to build on with their quarterback now that they've gone with him all the way in. So it'll be pretty fun to see what they do with Kenny Pickett going forward.
Yeah, just a model of consistency there with my team, man. I got to pat them on the shoulder, pat myself on the shoulder too, because I called them to come in third place in the AFC North, and they definitely came in third place, AFC North. So I'm not.
I did not see that. I think I said the Browns were going to end up doing better, only because I thought the coaches would have leaned on the running game a lot more. But it seems like certain times of the year they got away from the running game, and it cost them some games and stuff like that. So, yeah. But
yeah,
first two I got, it was 3 and 4. I got backwards.
That Tomlin effect, man. I mean, he has never had a losing season. Pittsburgh has not had a losing season since 2003.
That's cool.
Haven't finished in the last place in the division since 1988. So it's just a model of consistency there. 3 coaches since 1969 is absolutely insane in today's NFL.
Yeah, especially when you think about Houston that have had 3 in the last 3 years. But we'll get to that too, because I got some words for you, Houston Texans, you sons of anyway. Yeah, but yeah, definitely kudos to them. The Carolina Panthers decided to wake up enough to beat the New Orleans Saints this past week, 10-7. We talked about what the Panthers are going to need going into the offseason and things like that. And I know you intimated them needing a defensive end play opposite Brian Burns would be a great thing. If they can find a quarterback in the first round without having to overreach, by all means. But if it means a second round pick or something like that, then certainly do that as well. Definitely. I think there's going to be some opportunities to get some quarterbacks. I will go ahead and jump on the whole Texans thing, because the Texans, all they had to do was lose, and they would get the number 1 pick over the Chicago Bears. All you had to do was lose. But you know what? Lovie Smith knew that he was not the Texans' first choice for that job. As a matter of fact, he was in the same position as David Culley the year before. He wasn't the first pick. They picked David Culley because they thought that Deshaun Watson wasn't going to have any issues, and that would be a nice little carrot stick for Deshaun Watson. That win got Smith fired. No, Anthony, Smith knew that he wasn't coming back.
That's exactly right.
So what Lovie said was, you know what? That's what he said. He gave him the middle finger and said, I'm going to go ahead and win this game because first and foremost, I'm an effing football coach. And you're not going to sit there and tell me to try to get the most out of my guys and then set them up to lose. That may be what the front office wanted. Now, here's my problem with that too, though. How short-sighted can you be? It's the Chicago Bears that are in front of you. They're not going to pick a quarterback with the number 1 pick. And some people will say, but Brian, even if you get the number 1 pick, you could trade down, you could do this. No, it's obvious the Texans are going for a quarterback. And having the second pick is not going to keep you from getting the first quarterback off the block. So Lovie didn't do anything, but Lovie knew that you wanted that number 1 so bad that he sat there and he gave you a middle finger on the way out the door. Good for Lovie. And you know why? Because he did it for David Culley. He did it for Romeo Crennel. All of these times when they keep talking about we keep giving black coaches opportunities in the league, you give them 1 year to sit there and do a miracle, as if he had a quarterback, as if he had a running game. He had very little to work with, and yet he gets the shortest leash in the world. You had other coaches, Matt Patricia, stinking it up in Detroit for years after Jim Caldwell had successful years in Detroit, just not anything for the playoffs. You see all these other coaches on these short leashes, and some of them on long leashes and don't do a damn thing with it. I guarantee you Josh McDaniels is going to be in Las Vegas next year. He shouldn't be. Cliff Kingsbury got how many years in Arizona? Shouldn't have gotten it. So it's just kind of funny to see that. So now the Houston Texans, yes, they're going to get a number one quarterback. I mean, a top quarterback. God bless him. You know, DeAndre Hopkins figured it out. J.J. Watt, even a longtime Texan, figured out that this is not an organization that we need to be with anymore. And you hear that more and more from people that are still in Houston or recently departed from Houston, ran. And I know that I'm steering a little bit, but it just, I knew it was going to happen, but just to watch it happen anyway. Lovie Smith's been in the NFL longer than that. If he wasn't your first option before the season, you should have kept looking instead of putting him in a position to fail. You didn't give him anything to win. And the reason I bring that up is because that's the knock on Steve Wilks, is that he went to Arizona, he lasted for 1 year. Yeah, because you didn't give him anything to work with. And then he comes to Carolina as an interim coach, and he does pretty well with the team that was said to be tanking, but he could very well find himself in the same position of being that one-and-done coach that didn't have a whole lot to work with. And is anybody else going to give him an opportunity to be a head coach, or are they going to just regulate him back to being some kind of coordinator?
Yeah, just Lovey knew he was out of there. I mean, he knew he was out of there.
Yeah.
So why sit there and tank this game so the Texans could get a number one pick when he's not even going to be part of that number one process? He's not going to be part of the future planning. He know he's out of there. He knew it. So yeah, stick it to him, man. And I don't blame him. There'll be future opportunities for him, and not in Houston. Houston is dysfunctional as all hell right now. It is the perhaps the new Cincinnati, sorry, Adam, or the new Cleveland, but it is what it is. They're the new most dysfunctional team in the NFL right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, and speaking of Adam said when you were announcing your cover band for the 4th, come to Fayetteville, sucker.
Yeah, we're trying to plan something for May of this year at the White Rabbit in Fayetteville. We've been there last year, but we'll come back again.
Okay. And Jermaine says he's going to take the light rail. That's always a good way to do it. And he also said, how about them boys? Yeah, we'll talk about them boys. Also, what's going on, Mr. Jeff Knight? How you doing, sir? And Adam said Lions. He said Smith got fired. Adam, they played pretty well. They didn't get blown out a lot. Houston, that is. No, and that was the other thing to take into consideration. The year before David Culley got to Houston, they went 3-13. Then Deshaun Watson had all those issues. They bring in David Culley, and guess what? They went 3-13 or 3-14, maybe, because they have 17 games. Yeah. But and then this year again, they didn't have that good of a season. What was their final season record? Was it one?
It's around the same thing. It was either 2 and I forget. They might have tied one.
Yeah, they did have a tie, 3-13-1. So basically, you finished 3-13, 3-14 the last 3 years with 3 different coaches. Obviously, it ain't the coach. That's an organization issue. If 3 different coaches give you damn near the same record all 3 years, what are you talking about? So, but again, it's going to be a mark on African-American coaches. And listen, I heard somebody say, what's an incentive for, I know Stephen A. Smith said if you're an African-American coach, basically Houston Texans are telling you need not apply. The problem is that it's one of 32 positions in the NFL. And even if you know that they're not setting you up for success, it's hard to kind of turn it down when opportunities are so far and few between. So you almost have to do it. It's just like I'm hearing now with the Panthers. They're bringing in different coaches to interview, and I was okay with Frank Reich, Jim Caldwell. Those are names that I expected. Then I saw one this morning that just made me sit there and almost fall over. Kellen Moore. I don't know if anybody has seen this up and down roller coaster called the Dallas Cowboys. The hell you want Kellen Moore for? So I don't know if that's between him and Mike McCarthy not being on the same page or what. But I've seen them have a hot running game. I've seen them have a cold running game. I don't want Kellen Moore here in Carolina. Y'all can keep him in Dallas. Trust me. Anthony said, the Bears can trade down. They still can trade down at 2. Of course, if that was the idea. Now, why would you? I don't know. Because there's going to be decent quarterbacks in the top 10. I think 2 are forecasted to go in the top 10. So, what's his name? Bryce Young? Is that his name? Being one of
Bryce Young, Alabama.
Yeah, they can still get him. Chicago ain't taking him unless they're trying to get rid of Justin Fields. Which I guess they could do that. But what you really need to do is give Justin Fields some more protection and things like that and really see what the kid can do. So I don't think the Bears have given up on Justin Fields. So unless there's some indication that the Bears are giving up on Justin Fields, there's a quarterback waiting for you at pick number 2. And Anthony also said, did the Texans hire him because he's black and they're trying to do good for the NFL after that Watson drama? No. I'm going to tell you what happened. Anybody remember the name Josh McCown? Josh McCown, a journeyman NFL player for years. Always a serviceable backup, comes in, plays within himself, takes care of the ball most of the time, but just wasn't very most mobile, deep throwing quarterback, but just a capable quarterback. There have been rumors after they got rid of David Culley that they were wanting to bring in Josh McCown, whose only coaching experience up until that point, because he hadn't even been retired that long. He played over 17 years, but he hadn't been retired that long. So what they were going to do was say, hey, we're going to bring Josh in. But the only experience that he had, was a volunteer assistant coach for a high school.
Right. So wouldn't that make Anthony right? Because I'm right there with Anthony. They got the heat for that in the media.
Yes.
So they had to back off of that and then get somebody.
Yeah, Anthony was talking about it was because of the Deshaun Watson drama. Some of that was from Deshaun Watson, but a lot of it was from word got out that they were trying to bring in Josh McCown, and it's like, well, wait a minute, we got all these other capable black coaches in the NFL and white coaches too, and you're trying to bring in this guy to be a head coach of one of the few 32 positions in the NFL. You're not going to bring him in as maybe an associate head coach, an assistant head coach, a quarterback's coach. He going to go straight to head coach. He ain't called not one play. And you're going to bring him in. So they caught a lot of backlash from that, and rightfully so. So then they said, okay, what's our plan B? And they couldn't get anybody else. So they looked at their defensive coordinator, Lovie Smith, and they said, you want it? Okay.
Exactly.
That's what happened.
Yep, that's what happened.
They knew that they had egg on their face. So what they did is that they put a prop out there to say, see, we can be good, NFL. See, we can be good. We all for diversity.
We're fair. But then a year later, we sit here and he's gone. So
exactly.
This doesn't pull the wool over anybody's face. I mean, anybody can see exactly what happened.
You know what? The players knew it too. They knew they were full of crap too. So I mean, you ain't fooling nobody but yourself.
No, and that's in large part why for the last 3 seasons they've only won a total of like 9 games. I mean, nobody wants to play for them, and everybody wants out. And until they do some organizational restructuring, it's going to be like that. I don't care who they draft.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And that's why I said even God bless if they do get a top quarterback. What is he walking into?
Right.
I feel really bad because my classmate Pep Hamilton's the offensive coordinator for the team, and I don't know what that's going to do with his situation, but he's a really, really good offensive coordinator. So whether it's Houston or somewhere else, he'll definitely land somewhere. Anthony says, yeah, Brandon Cooks wants out too. Yeah, he should.
Yeah, they all want out.
Adam said, any other coaches getting fired? Well, Adam, don't know if you heard, but Cliff Kingsbury from the Arizona Cardinals is gone. His whole Kyler Murray experience is over. Kyler Murray is staying because black money for coaches wasn't that bad. It wasn't, unless you were black coach on black money. But anyway, so Cliff Kingsbury is gone. That's been the only other announcement that I know of, only because the Colts had gotten rid of their coach in midseason and turned the reins over to Jeff Saturday. They're currently interviewing coaches, but Saturday is still one of the candidates for the job. So that's the open spot. We know Denver got rid of Nathaniel Hackett before the end of the season, so Denver has an open spot. We know that Carolina has their open spot because they got rid of Matt Fool early in the season. And to Anthony's point, a lot of interim coaches, Adam. And Anthony's point is that Washington, Scott Turner got fired. He said, thank God. Well, Ron Rivera got to do something to keep the heat off himself. I would hope that Scott Turner and Carson Wentz both walked out of the building at the same damn time. And selfishly speaking, I need Carson to move to Concord so he can bag my groceries at Publix. So, maybe get him to autograph one of my grocery bags or something like that. And that way we can stop thinking that Prince Harry is in the NFL. But anyway, it's kind of funny to see all these interim coaches and things like that. A lot of folks got the interim tag beside their name. It'll be interesting to see who lands where. You're hearing where even Jim Harbaugh from Michigan is entertaining the NFL again, wanting to come back. And I think we saw some allegations of some not so good practices up at Michigan when it came to recruiting and stuff like that. So he may be looking to get out before the hammer drops on Michigan. So it was reported that he had reached out to Dave Tepper about the open position in Carolina. It's funny, he can just reach out. And now it's also being said that he's also talking to other NFL teams about their open position. Honestly, I don't see why he just didn't go to Indianapolis. He played for him. So, go coach him. That'll be interesting. And so Peyton is out there as a candidate too. And Denver may be willing to give him a little bit more reins and keys as well. Adam says, is McVay going to be safe? McVay is in Sean McVay with the Rams. Rand, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's his job to turn down only because, yes, they went 5-12 this year, but my God, you lost Cooper Kupp, among others. And he was already having a hard time with a running game. Stafford went out fairly early too. So can you really hang the 5-12 on Sean McVay? And you are what your record says you are. But can you really hang that all on him after just winning the Super Bowl?
Nah, after you've lost your starting. Yeah, after you've lost your starting quarterback, you could pretty much hang that on him.
And your number one receiver removed from
your number one receiver.
Yeah, right. That's crazy. Yeah, I think if Sean McVay is not with the Rams next year, it's because Sean McVay has decided that he can make a whole lot more money in the broadcast booth, a la Tony Romo, and do that. But I just have a feeling that he likes to wear tight shirts and run along the sidelines, chest bumping players, because he know the camera's watching.
He'll have a job somewhere if it ain't.
Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes. As much as I love Steve Wilkes, bring him to Carolina. I'm good with that.
I'm good with that too.
I can see Foreman and Hubbard in some exotic packages, man. DJ Moore doing some nice end arounds and stuff like that. Don't get me wondering. And Adam says he's getting into the same trouble in Michigan, doing the Pete Carroll. Yeah, it's almost like racing. They have they have a saying in racing: if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So maybe he took that literally. And Anthony says it's crazy how if anybody wants Sean Payton, they have to give up a first-round pick. Yes, because even though Sean Payton retired, the New Orleans Saints still own his rights as a coach. So it would almost be like trading a player away. So I don't even know if Denver has any more first-round picks to give up for what they had to give up to get Russell Wilson. You know, I don't even know if I would. If as soon as somebody say first round pick to me, and I'm an executive at Denver, I'd probably just turn around. Because how did that work out the last time you gave up some picks like that?
Right. I hear they're all in though, trying to make it work. So we shall see. Maybe they trade out they 2033 first round pick. Bring them in there.
I mean, honestly though, who are you trying to be better than in your division? You can go all in and you're not going to beat Kansas City. You're probably not going to beat the Chargers. You might flip-flop with the Raiders, which is what we picked to happen anyway, that either the Broncos or the Raiders would be 3 and 4, third place and fourth place. And that's what happened.
Yep.
We know it was going to be because they both had some questionable coaching going on, both of them. I think the coaches had just as much to do as the quarterbacks did. So both of those are dumpster fires. I don't know what you can get out of either one of them that's going to make it. Because here's the thing, the AFC is going to continue to be so stacked. There's no guarantee of you getting to the playoffs if you don't win your division in the AFC. That's the problem. If you took some of those teams and put them in the NFC, you definitely be in the playoffs. But there's so many teams that because they're in the AFC, if you don't win your division, you're pretty much done.
So that's a good subject to kind of tackle right now, man. Who do you see stepping forward next year as far as playoffs, and who do you see taking a step back? We could start in the AFC.
Okay, yeah, good question. I really think this is Buffalo's time to either make it or not. The playoffs wait for no one. Everybody always gets a year older. People start to figure you out more. Yes, Buffalo had, played for Hamlin, and that was one hell of a game with 2 kick returns this past week and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I agree, Adam.
I agree with that too. That was on my mind.
Amen, bro.
That was number one on my mind.
Yep. But when you look at Buffalo, I think that window's closing because how many more hits are you going to let your quarterback take by sitting there taking off and running that ball? We saw when Cam Newton's window started to close and we needed him to stop running and be more of a drop back passer, that didn't really go well with him. His mechanics just weren't there. Josh Allen is, in my opinion, a better passer than Cam Newton. But how much of a better passer can you be when you've already taken a lot of hits? That's going to be one. The Dolphins, the same way. They're kind of at that crossroads where they started out hot, ended up with the same finishing record almost, except for the one extra game that they had when they had Brian, what's his name, with the team as the coach. So I think the Dolphins are going to take a step back. I think the Bills are going to take a step back next year. I see the Jets on the come up. I hate to say it, but I see the Patriots on the come up. As far as they finished third in the division, I could see them taking second in the division next year. I could actually see, Lord have mercy, I can't believe I say this. I can actually see the Jets, Brian Flores, thank you. I can see the Jets winning that division next year. How bold a statement is that? I said it. As far as the Chiefs in that division, I think the Chiefs are going to do okay, continue to do okay, because Mahomes isn't normally in harm's way. He does get his share of sacks, but he doesn't really take a whole lot of unnecessary hits. Justin Herbert, I think next year is going to do better. I think the Chargers will win that division next year. And I think the Raiders and the Broncos don't even need to be discussed. They're going to continue to fall. In the AFC North, the Bengals look like they're going to be that hot team. I think the Steelers are going to actually creep up to number 2 in that division. I actually think the Browns are going to take a step forward. I think Deshaun Watson is going to start to come into his own with a full OTA offseason and all that stuff, and they're going to put him in a good position to win. Kareem Hunt may not be in the mix, but Nick Chubb should still be there. Find another back that can give him a nice break like Madison does in Minnesota for Dalvin Cook. And getting to your Baltimore Ravens that you brought up, yes, I see them being the fourth team in the AFC North next year, because whether Lamar comes back or not, it's not going to be the same. Their window has been closing over the last couple of years because, they're going to, I don't know if they're going to step back, Anthony. I think they're going to fall in. Their offense has been predicated on on Lamar Jackson's health for so long. And he's getting a year older. He's in a contract year. I think they're going to franchise tag him, and I don't know if that even means that he's going to sign the tag and report to camp or try to play hardball. I believe in Tyler Huntley, but they don't have a whole lot of things around him right now. Duvernay is gone. So, I mean, they don't really have a lot. They did re-sign Roquan, and that was a nice thing to see after getting him from Chicago midseason. But they just don't have enough pieces out there. They need more of a traditional offense if you may end up having to go with Tyler Huntley, because you don't need him exposing himself the same way that Lamar Jackson does.
Yeah, I see the as far as teams taking a step forward, definitely my Steelers. I see that. They got the draft picks for that. They already got their quarterback. They are slowly piecing together their offensive line and their defense. I see the Steelers taking a major step forward next year. As far as the Jets, I also see them taking a step forward as soon as they fix some of their offensive flaws. They were very competitive this year. I know they finished last place, but I think they're going to improve on that and step forward. Also, look out for the Jaguars. The Jaguars are going to continue to build going forward next year. Now, as far as teams that have missed their window and they're going to take a step back, I like what you said about that. But I'm going to add two more teams to that. The Raiders have missed their opportunity. They've made a mess of their car situation. They will be stepping backwards. The Indianapolis Colts have missed their Super Bowl window. Trying to get this quarterback, this veteran quarterback, and that veteran quarterback. None of them have panned out. None of them have worked. So now they got to start all over from scratch, ground zero. The Indianapolis Colts have missed their window for playoffs. So, yeah. Just
and Adam is all over it too. He said Tennessee is done. Cooked. Over. And I hate that. You know what you can do in Tennessee? Trade Derrick Henry to Carolina.
I like that.
So we can have Foreman, King Henry, and Chuba.
I like that idea.
We'll never pass the damn ball again. Oh God Almighty! Oh, I can see. God, could you see freaking Foreman in as more of like a fullback pulling and letting Henry go through the gaps?
Defense is terrified.
That bring back the days of Brad Hoover. That's just crazy. But and no, I agree. Jaguars are definitely on the come up. The Titans, the Colts, and the Texans definitely. You're right. A lot of those teams certainly missed their window. Adam did say the Jets are young. They just have to figure out quarterback. No, they don't. Mike White. If you're in New York, all you have to do is tell Zach Wilson, go where. Well, no, don't tell him go where Sam Darnold is. We don't want him. But he need to go too. They can win a lot of games with a competent Mike White if you put a good bit of pieces around him, which they already do. They just had their running back go down in the season, and they were still ran to have a pretty serviceable season. They were 7-10, but they built on a really, really bad season. They were in a lot of games, and they had some pretty good wins.
Yeah, even the losses, like you're saying, they pushed Buffalo a few times, man. So,
so they had some good wins. Yeah. Adam says if Indy figures it out, they can be dangerous.
Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but I mean, what's to figure out now? I mean, the weapons are gone. They got the running back that's coming off of an injury.
Yeah, I mean,
the wide receivers are fading away.
T.Y. having his rejuvenation down in Dallas, so he gone.
Yeah, they have no quarterback as we sit here right now today. So, You know, that defense that was once great 2 to 3 years ago has now been sold off part by part. So,
And
yeah,
they need to go ahead and let Jonathan Taylor go so that they can at least get some trade value for him. Because you're not doing anything right now. Send Jonathan Taylor somewhere else, like we sent Christian McCaffrey away. You know, I really think that would help because then you can get some value too.
yeah,
But the stopgap, I'm gonna hire an old ass quarterback on the back nine of his career. That hasn't worked. You tried it. They haven't figured out anything since Luck decided to retire on them, and they had to start Jacoby Brissett.
exactly. It's been just that long.
They've been limping since Luck left, and they have not figured it out. So as much as I think Jim Irsay is a really cool dude, sometimes they have missed the ball so many more times than not on what they want to do with that organization. It's basically Houston without all the drama. So, yeah, I said it. Anthony says Ravens signing Smith was a slap to the face of Lamar. Why? They're two totally different players. And Roquan ain't asking for no fully guaranteed contract. That ain't no slap in the face. Roquan is a businessman and saying, okay, and think about it. They got him on the cheap. You know, I believe it was 4 years, $100 million, or 5 years, $100 million. But it was a $100 million contract. You know what Lamar won't? How is that a slap in the face? It's a slap in the face because Lamar is like, I want more than Deshaun Watson got. That's a slap in the face to the organization that gave a chance on you when other people were sitting there telling you you should even change your damn position.
Let's do business with the man who wants to put the pen to the paper. That's what I say.
Yep. Exactly.
Ain't got all day to be waiting on somebody.
Slap in the face. Bro, we could have done this before the season started. You the one talking crazy, talking about you want a fully guaranteed contract. You got your rabbit mind. It ain't gonna happen. Knowing that they can franchise you twice. You have no leverage. That's why I couldn't understand Arizona sitting there giving Kyler Murray all that money, and he ain't showing you a damn thing.
They didn't have to. They didn't have to.
No, nope. But Lamar expects the Ravens to be just as dumb as Cleveland and Arizona, and that ain't gonna happen.
Yep. In the last 2 years, Lamar has missed the final 4 games of the season. Now, what is he expecting? That's crazy.
This is what happens when you don't have an agent and you listening to your mama when y'all really need to be scheduling Campbell's soup commercials instead of trying to negotiate contracts.
Yeah. Or look up this term that you just mentioned called leverage. Look that up.
Yeah. You have which you have none of. But you have a false leverage in your mind. Talking about I'm gonna bet on myself. That's not betting on yourself, bro. Look, especially when your backup is very, very serviceable. It's kind of like the whole Zach Wilson thing. How's Zach gonna have any leverage when every time he gets hurt, Mike might come out there and ball out?
Yeah. You're losing that bet when you want a fully guaranteed contract, but you can't finish out a year the past 2 years.
That's correct.
You're losing that bet correct. On yourself.
And if I'm going to give you a fully guaranteed contract, even when we are missing certain pieces on our team, I expect you to elevate everybody on that team, being that signal caller out there. And for everything that Lamar is, I have not seen him elevate his team. I've seen him elevate himself, which is fine as a player. Some players, that's their thing. They can do that. But when you look at a TJ Watt, hell, when you look at JJ Watt going out, still balling at a very decent level, he's a game changer. When you look at a Micah Parsons, he's a game changer. When you look at Khalil Max, when you look at Aaron Donalds, you look at those kind of game-changing guys. Does Lamar change the game like that? Yeah, you got to scheme for him differently because of the way that he plays, but does he make the other players around him equally as dangerous outside of Mark Andrews? No. And when Mark Andrews doesn't have Lamar back there, he's a jag too. He's just a guy. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, that's kind of what I see with them. We'll get to the NFC in 2 seconds. Adam says Lamar. No, I'm sorry. Adam first said no. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Tennessee is done. I agree with White. Adam says, Anthony, NFC, Washington and Saints and Lions coming up, stepping back. Giants, I don't know about that. I think you want that. I don't see the Saints at all. I agree with the Lions.
I agree with the Lions too. Yeah.
And I definitely don't think the Giants are stepping back. I think Brian Daboll did an awesome job with that team, and Saquon Barkley is only getting better, and he got the most out of Daniel Jones. Reduced the turnovers, giving himself to stay in games and have the opportunity to win games at the end. That's been something that's been missing from the Giants, and it's good to see Big Blue back on the stage for that. There's certain teams that when they're in the playoffs, I think the whole league is better for it. And the New York market is definitely one of those. Lamar, Adam says Lamar isn't going to be there all of next season. He just needs to say he wants to go. Either he needs to say he wants to go or he needs to change his thinking about his contract. I'm all about players getting their money, but you don't sit there and bet your contract on an outlier contract. You go back and you look at an average of some of the other contracts and go at it that way. He's gonna have enough money for life and everything else. I think he's just putting himself in a position to become the villain in Baltimore, and that's gonna sour after a while. He's got so much bully pulpit capital right now in Baltimore, but if he messes around too long, they will turn on you. Like any fan base will. So he needs to be careful with that, especially if it ever gets out to the fan base what he's asking for and it doesn't sound realistic. You can't hamstring your team by asking for all of that stuff when they have to build so much around you to make this car move. Adam says they could trade Lamar for players and picks. Absolutely. I don't know if he has a no trade clause or anything like that, but if he doesn't, then yeah, absolutely. And again, you have Tyler Huntley. Hell, you could bring in Joshua Dobbs to be his backup. Dobbs ain't look like no bum. So, that's what I'm saying. There's some players out there. And then Adam also says, oh boy from Baltimore that played last week looked like a gunslinger with promise. Yeah, that's what me and Rand are getting at. If you're Lamar Jackson and you're seeing that, your leverage meter was already pretty low. The more film we get to see of these other guys having to step in your place can kind of make us go, yeah, that can be life without Lamar. It's like when you sit there and you've been dating a girl or you've been with a girl for so long, but then there's another girl that comes around and he says, I can see myself with that chick. Then that other one, hey, right before Valentine's Day, you ready to go ahead and make that change. Ain't no sense spending a lot of money on Valentine's Day if she ain't gonna make it. So I'm just saying, I ain't telling y'all to do that. I'm just saying I may have done that a time or two. Save myself some money on Valentine's brand. But it does work, trust me. From the NFC sides, Rand, who do you see taking the step up and down? And no, it ain't the Commanders and it ain't the Saints.
Yeah, let's just start right there. I don't see the Commanders taking a step forward, man. I just don't. And the Saints, I definitely don't. Atlanta Falcons, I continue to see them being a dumpster fire that they are. It's going to be a little bit before they take a step forward.
Long time.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will take a step back depending on what Brady decides to do. If Brady decides to go, they're going to be starting all over. Carolina will take a slight step forward depending on what they do with this draft and what they do with their head coaching position. Yep. I see Green Bay. I think the Green Bay that we know is over with. We're talking about Rodgers. He could be potentially retiring. I think the Rams will be back next year. They'll take a step forward. The Cardinals, done. Seattle, they'll take a step forward. Cowboys will be Cowboys, but I think this whole conference is going to belong to Philadelphia for quite some time now.
I agree. I think
the 49ers.
Yeah, I think the Giants have a chance of battling the Eagles depending on how things shake out with their schedules. But I see the Cowboys taking a step back. They finished second in their division. I don't see them finishing second in their division next year. If you want to talk about whether the Commanders are going to catch the Cowboys, I still think the Cowboys will be pretty strong in third place. I do see the Commanders getting better, but does getting better equate to taking a step up? No. I think they will still finish 4th next year. The 49, and I'll be surprised. The Seahawks are actually surprising people. I didn't see this coming at all. But I still think if the Rams retool next year, get everybody back healthy, it's going to be like it was in 2 years ago where it was the Rams and the 49ers going for that conference. But I do see the Seahawks still beating down the Arizona Cardinals in that division for last place. As far as the Packers, the writing's already on the wall. Whether Aaron Rodgers comes back or not, it's over. And you know what? They need to just sit down and talk to him and say, Aaron, we want it to appear that it's your decision. We don't want to cut you. We don't want to let you go, but it's over. We're okay with rebuilding because, again, the NFC, you can't finish third in the NFC into the playoffs. You might be able to get in as a solid number 2, but you damn sure ain't going to get to the number 3. And I don't see the Vikings or the Lions relinquishing that for any in the near future. So why sit there? Because his contract now, he's got a lot of the keys. He made $50 million this year. His salary balloons to $60 million next year.
Wow.
And $60 million the year after that. So they need to come up with a settlement because he could basically hamstring you for another $120 million over the next 2 years. I'm sorry. Fully guaranteed. Yeah. Anthony just said that Packers can't afford to cut Rodgers. So you can't really cut him. You can find a trade partner, but who in the hell gonna pay $60 million for a 75-year-old man? Who gonna do that? Unless you Bobby Bonilla, that ain't happening. That's not gonna happen. And Anthony wanted to make clear that February 15th is for side chicks.
I saw that. I'll keep that in mind.
Anthony, I've worked in the hospitality industry for 31 years, and I always get on my calls with my hotels to let them know that they have 2 Valentine's weekends to contend with. One is called Side Chick Weekend. One's called Main Chick Weekend. And a lot of them will just look at me like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you'll see the same guy both weekends, but with 2 totally different people with him. And he's like, that's really a thing? I'm like, yes, it's a thing. So, they'll definitely see that. Adam says Dobbs and Watson in Green Bay is promising for love. Dobbs and Watson in Green Bay is promising for Jordan Love. Okay, yep. Vikes keep running away. Who's the quarterback for the Rams? Old ass Stafford. Yeah. I think it's Stafford's show. If he's had all this time to start rehabbing his shoulder. He wasn't right from the beginning of the year, and they kept trying to gloss over that because they didn't want to cause a scare. But I could see when he was throwing that he was favoring that arm. He couldn't get it down the field, and he's got to evolve into not trying to zero in on Cooper Kupp. Kupp had way too many receptions in a game. He was doing the same thing that Derek Carr was doing to what's his name?
Devontae Adams.
Just zero in on him, acting like he was the only person out there. Packers can't afford to cut. Yeah, Rodgers. Yep, we talked about that. Denver. Are you saying when I said who would pay Rodgers? But if he retires, it's only a $40 million cap hit. That's true, but that's still $40 million against your cap. That's a lot of dead money. You need to trade him. Now, what you could do is say, hey, Team X, we want to trade you old-ass Aaron Rodgers because he's got a lot of tread left on the tires, even though we can't use him. So we think you should pick up at least $30 million, and we'll write off the other 10 ourselves to him. Now, if I'm a team that's kind of in the middle and I need a stopgap quarterback, could I sign Aaron Rodgers for $30 million when the going price on a not first round pick, but a quarterback coming into his 4th, 5th year, re-signing them is going to be anywhere between $45 and $49 million? Does it make sense to take Aaron Rodgers for $29-30 million as long as the Packers are willing to pay the other 10. Yeah, why not? Or I guess at that point, you're paying them 60, so maybe you are going to have to pay a little bit. If the Packers sit there and trade them, they're going to have to pay. Nobody's going to take Rodgers unless you throw a bunch of first-round picks with it too. That's the problem.
The desperate ass Houston Texans might be able to do it because they're dead in the water and they need to sell tickets to somebody. So the Aaron Rodgers retirement show might come to Houston next year. But other than that, I can't see anybody else that even want him.
Yeah, Adam was like, yeah, Denver trade for Rodgers. Yeah, but how could you? You got all that money out there for Russ. The hit that you would take for two old-ass quarterbacks, would be over, $80-90 million.
Ain't no way they could do that, man.
Your team, you would be playing all practice squad players. You'd be like, hey, you want to sign for the league minimum? $800,000? Sure.
I'm not sure Denver can even trade for a long snapper right now.
I don't even think Denver could trade for a case of Corona. I think they're done. And Anthony says, I'm not signing him for $30 million for 1 year. Yeah, I didn't think the Panthers would sign Teddy Bridgewater for $20 million for a year. So how about that? Anyway, Anthony says Raiders might do it. Might as well.
That's a point.
And send Derek Carr on over to Carolina. We'll definitely send you a little bit of money with it.
Yep.
And Adam says, totally joking, but aren't the numbers? They're ridiculous. They balloon so much. All of these numbers have swollen to a point where I think they're going to start to come back down with Devontae Adams, Christian Kirk, Tyreek Hill, all those receivers last year commanding these crazy paydays. I think that period is going to go back down too, Rand. I don't think you're going to see too many more receivers get $28 million a year.
Hell no. These teams are going to come to their senses. They're going to come to realize that they're going to need to put those dollars into more serviceable places and more serviceable positions than just one if they're trying to get to the daggone Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Adam says, how are they going to calm down? I think they're going to push back on the players that say, hey, I want to come. The cap will rise. That's true. But the cap is going to rise. It's a quarterback's market. It's going to go back to being that. I do agree with that. For you to get like a bum quarterback is going to cost you $25 to $30 million a year. To get you a top echelon quarterback, we're about to break that $50 million mark. I know that Aaron Rodgers already did it. He was kind of in a stratosphere of his own with that. But when you start to see Burrow come up for his renewal, when you see Herbert come up for his renewal, Josh Allen already got his money. Deshaun got plenty of hands on his money. Okay. I had to.
Mr. Massaji.
Yeah. You touch his dollar bills and you be like, damn, is this auto all of my dollar bills? I'm sorry. I'm trying to win the water cooler comedy contest. So, okay. Anyway,
hey, man, you got your entire contract paid out in ones. What's up with that?
Right. Yeah, like, what's up with this? Why are they so sticky? Wait, dude. What do you do? Yeah, it's so rough. Oh, God. Anthony says, who do you think will be a bigger deal, Jimmy G or Daniel Jones? Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Still, I think Daniel Jones in New York doesn't mean that will translate outside of New York. I just think that Brian Daboll has found a way to help him reduce his turnovers. Daniel Jones' biggest issue with ball protection, making good decisions with the ball. And they've somehow, I don't know if they hypnotized him before the game or what, but he's been better. Jimmy G just, say what you want about him, but he wins everywhere he goes. At some point, and it still may be that he's a system quarterback. I think all quarterbacks are system quarterbacks to an extent, but he seems to win, and I think they will try to move him this offseason. I think he did everything to improve his stock before he got hurt, but that's going to be the knock on him. That's going to keep him from making as much money as he wants, is that he's injury prone. So some team like the Texans may I could see them taking a tryout on him. I could see the Colts taking a tryout on him to maybe bring him in and then still draft a quarterback, but one that can learn under him. That doesn't have to start right away. I can see that.
Yeah. And now that you say that, what do you feel about Sam Darnold coming back to Carolina to be exactly that, a bridge quarterback for the next quarterback that gets drafted? What you think about that?
You know, what I saw in Sam Darnold his last couple of games was what I expected to see him when they originally got him from the Jets. Quarterback that's been in the league long enough to kind of know the ins and the outs, that as long as he plays within himself, he's not going to put you at risk of losing a game and let the other skill positions around him determine who wins the game. I think if he can help move the chains, let the defense do what they do best, yeah, you can get away with him. I mean, hell, think about it this way. You almost won the division and he was the quarterback at the end.
Right. Right.
And if you look at it from this standpoint, regardless of whether Tom Brady comes back or not, the Bucs are done. Yeah. I have their obituary right over here. They're over. There's just too many. You know, they basically tried to keep that ship going with bubble gum and toothpicks, and it's about to implode in on them. And if Brady hamstrings them, he should have just went ahead and retired and let the rebuilding begin. But he, to his credit, though, he got them to the playoffs, and they have a good chance of doing something against the Cowboys because they're bipolar as hell. We don't know who's going to show up on Monday night. So they got a chance because of that. But even if they get past the Cowboys, which will be a hard thing to see, it only gets harder after that. And somebody of Brady's age, he mustered up a lot just to beat Carolina. That ain't going to happen going into the playoffs. So I think that's going to be crazy. Adam Bozeman says, Burrow going to get paid. Oh, he going to get paid. He going to buy. He going to get paid. He going to buy. He going to have them mink fur coats in all kinds of colors. Joe Cool going to look like the old Joe Cool from the Jets. Adam says he's buddies with James Harden Watson, that is, in the club. Yeah. Deshaun gonna be like, yeah, who is this? Yo, man, it's Harden. Nah, man, I'm good. They told me don't go near no clubs with you no more. Yeah, I'm going down to Charlotte. We're going down to Onyx. Nah, don't go to Onyx. Don't go to Onyx. Anyway, Adam says Jimmy G always gets hurt. That is true. If Wilkes stays put, Darnold is money. There's some truth to that. Wilkes was able to get a lot out of Darnold. Somehow Ben McAboo was able to get a lot out of him too. And I saw that with Darnold over Baker Mayfield. Taller quarterback, can step up in the pocket, can use his legs to do rollouts and throw on the run. All of those things I saw with Darnold, he actually started doing. The things that Baker can't do consistently. And I saw that with Darnold. So I was a little surprised when they brought Baker in to begin with. Darnold doesn't need another head coach. Same with Rand's boy Baker. Rand, I didn't know that you were a closet Baker Mayfield fan, but according to Adam, you're all in on the Baker.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, man.
Oh my gosh. No, I agree. And you know, that's the other thing too. Sam Darnold didn't get a fair shake in New York because every time he get comfortable with one coach, they bring in another one. And same thing with Baker Mayfield. I will give that too. I just never liked him because of his size. And
he has no athleticism, man. None. He can't run.
And I'm surprised for somebody that small. He said you're the biggest Baker fan ever. But for somebody that small, I figured he would be at least a lot more elusive than he is. But he really isn't. I've seen taller guys be able to take off and make better runs, and he just does not know how to run. Yeah. But I saw it in Sam Darnold, so I do believe that if they keep Wilkes or at least Ben McAboo, then that can happen. But the threat is that if you hire a brand new head coach, they're going to want their own people in place, and that may mean that McAdoo goes away. If the plan is to bring in a new coach and they're going to bring in their own team, you might as well look to a different quarterback. Oklahoma quarterbacks suck. I don't know. It wasn't Sam Bradford. Never mind. Point taken. And if you remember back in the day, he was the one that sat there and got one of those first high guaranteed contracts. I think it was like $40 million a year at the time. And he couldn't stay healthy either. So, yeah. And Adam says just like Ohio State quarterbacks. Facts. I mean, they do all that balling out in college. You know, by the time they get to the NFL, they're spoiled. So, I don't know. Speaking of spoiled, I just want to give it up real quick to them Bulldogs down in Athens, Georgia. Y'all wrong for that. Y'all wrong for that. You should be ashamed of yourself beating somebody 65-7 in a damn national championship game. This is not your first September game on the schedule where you playing Sisters of the Poor.
It looked like it.
If you did, and they just had TCU jerseys on. Regardless, that was wrong, y'all. I know y'all Bulldogs. I know that's what Bulldogs do. But God dang.
They didn't let up off the gas at all.
I wish I could see the killer instinct in a lot of teams like that. Kansas City would never do that because they take their foot off the gas too much. Adam says, shit, spank that ass. They did. Oh, my God. They left no room for doubt in that game.
No mercy at all.
If you could emasculate somebody on a football field, that would be the meme for it. I mean, I don't know how many cans of whoop ass you had to open up to do that, but my God. If I had known, I would have bought stock and whoop ass right before that game. That was crazy.
Hold up, B. I got to power up. Be right back.
All right. While Rand's powering up, I'm going to let's look at the NFC. Who else do you guys think are stepping up in the NFC? I definitely see, again, the 49ers and the Rams doing their thing again. We got the Vikes. I don't see the Saints or the Falcons doing anything. So by default, and it's not because I'm a Carolina fan, I actually see the Panthers actually winning the division as a result of the fact that the other teams won't be so good. That's going to be the thing. So that'll be very interesting to see too. I just almost think it's going to be one of those things where the Panthers could win the NFC South next year as long as they win 9 to 10 games. I think that's all it'll take. Because I don't think the Saints, the Bucks, or the Falcons will be able to win 9 to 10 games.
Completely agree with you on that one, man. That's why I said as long as they play their cards right with this coaching position and also their draft picks that they're going to pick up and free agency, let's not leave out that.
Absolutely.
As long as they do those things, I mean, the division is very winnable for the Panthers next year.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about this because somebody started out asking me about how about them boys, them Dallas Cowboys, that is. Rand, I saw a game on Sunday that looked like a team that just did not show up to play. The Commanders had nothing to play for other than pride. The Cowboys, in some ways, had nothing to play for either because they were going to be a lot for the 5th seed no matter what. But there was a chance that had Philly lost that game, there would have been a little bit more to it. Philly then would have won 13 games. The Cowboys would have won 13 games, and then we would have come down to tiebreakers, and I think the Cowboys would have had them. Now, it wasn't promised that the Cowboys were going to – Philadelphia was going to do as bad not win that game, which they ended up winning. But it could have gotten a little bit dicier. So Dallas has the – bipolar complex to me where, again, like I said earlier, I don't know what team is going to show up on Monday night when they play Tampa. And if Tom Brady plays Dallas like he played Carolina, Dallas will lose that game. And if Dallas plays like they did against Washington, Dallas will lose that game. If Dallas plays the way that they did against Houston, Dallas will lose that game. If they play the way they did against the Jaguars, they will easily lose that game. So
yeah, no doubt about that. And one thing that you're not mentioning is the pressure is on. I mean, the pressure is at an all-time high in Big
Yep.
D right now. They cannot, for the third straight year, get to the playoffs and be 1-out.
yes.
So going into Tampa right now, they are the favorites. That's even more pressure on their backs. If they don't win this game, we might not hear from Cowboy fans for all summer long. And I'm good with that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm really good with that too. I didn't hear from him on Sunday night like I normally do. They just talking about how about him. I didn't see one thing. You know, I had to sit there and call my brother to say, "Hey, is your Facebook working?" I think mine is stuck because ain't no Cowboy fans posting nothing. He said, "Nah, mine's running just fine." I said, "Oh, okay, I was just checking because I don't have any new threads from Cowboy fans." So I didn't know if maybe I was in Facebook jail and didn't know it. And Adam says when Dallas loses because of Dak's turnovers, they're moving on from Dak. Well, you know, that's an interesting proposition, Adam. I wouldn't have believed that a year ago, but I could kind of see that if your quarterback is only getting you to the playoffs, and then when you get in, you're not getting any further. Think about what the Rams decided to do with Jared Goff. They said, yeah, he can get us to the playoffs. Hell, he can get us to the Super Bowl. But we need a quarterback to get us over the hump. They may sit there and say, hey, maybe Dak's that guy that maybe he can win us a bunch of regular season games, a la Lamar Jackson. But when we get to the playoffs, we don't really do anything there, which does not help you. If you barely get into the playoffs, it would all, and I know fans like playoff games and stuff like that. I'm of a different mind. If you barely eke into the playoffs and you're going to be one and done, I mean, you're really just screwing yourself over for the draft. You know, you really are. The Marvin Lewis years in Cincy. Exactly. All them regular season wins, and Red Rocket couldn't do a damn thing for you in the playoffs. Red Rocket, AJ Green, they'd have all them touchdown receiver connections during the regular season, and then in the playoffs it'd be like, who done it? Yeah, exactly, Adam. So that's something to look at. And again, because Dak's contract, yes, Dak signed a lot of guaranteed money, but as those years, Carson Palmer, oh my gosh, man, you could name about 20 quarterbacks for Cincy. Evening, fellas, what's up? Joe Lowry. Driving that big old 18-wheeler. What's up, bro? Oh, man. Now, not just talking about your favorite Cowboys. No, I'm just kidding. I ain't going to do that to you. I definitely don't want to talk about our beloved Tar Heels. They just making me wonder right now. But anyway, yes, sir. But, yeah, so Dallas could move away. Hey, Rand, do you think that they will eventually just go ahead and say, hey, Zeke, going back to Cabo?
So if it was any other team with some common sense, I would say yes. But with Jones being as loyal as he is to the boys, thinking that he's actually in the locker room himself. Did you see the other day where he made the comment about he's motivated for this game? Like, you're motivated? What are you doing, bro? You're like, who are you? You're motivated.
Look, I don't know. He's like Mark Cuban, just
right.
Like, dude, you know you're the owner, right?
Right.
But he's in the locker room. He's right there with the team and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's Jerry. It's Jerry. Like he playing. I saw that. That's what Joe said. You know I'm Panther down. I know you Panther down, bro. But yeah, Jerry does not he doesn't understand boundaries, which is why the owner doesn't need to be the general manager, which is why the general manager doesn't need to be the coach, because you need those. You need to streamline things so much, but you need certain levels of accountability. How can a general manager ever be accountable to the owner when they're the same damn person?
Yeah. And he can't separate himself from those dinners that he goes out to the players with. I mean, when it comes to just making those decisions where it's time for a player to go, it's just hard for him because he thinks he's one of them.
Adam says he's in those massage parlors getting motivated. I was going to add with Robert Kraft, but hey, you never know. You never know. Maybe they're sitting there calling Deshaun. Any good places when we come up to Cleveland?
Dropping off babies he don't know about till 20 years later.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Nick Cannon can babysit for you. But anyway. Oh my gosh. He said, yep. Yeah, definitely getting motivated. It makes no sense. So I don't know what we're going to see. So let's look at, in our last little bit of time, the current playoffs and who's playing this coming Saturday. First of all in the wild card round, we've got the Seattle Seahawks, who as soon as Green Bay lost, knew that they were in the playoffs. We'll be playing the San Francisco 49ers. How you see that game shaking out?
Niners all day long. No breakdown needed.
There you go. There you go. I agree with you on that one. You also have that night, you've got the Chargers at the Jaguars.
This one's going to be good. I think this one has the potential to be the best game of the entire weekend with both of these teams' ability to put up some points. It is a home game for the Jaguars, I do believe.
It is.
So they're going to be extremely fired up in Jacksonville because that's the first home playoff game they've had in I don't know how long. So Jacksonville is going to be on fire for that game Saturday night. Can the Chargers go into an atmosphere like that and take it home? We'll see, man. That's one of the 50-50 games that I got right now.
Yeah. I'm with Adam. I'm going Jags for the same reason. He says Mike Williams is hurt, and you need that on the road. I see the Jags in this one. That's going to be crazy. I see the Niners and the Jags pulling it out on Saturday, for sure. So yeah, good call. Good call on that, Adam. Totally agree with you on that one. You've also got. Wait a minute. We don't have a. Oh, okay. I'm looking ahead too far because I'm looking at 7 teams, but it's only 4 games. Right?
We got 6 this weekend.
Six games this weekend?
Yes, Super Wild Card weekend.
Okay, I see it now. We got 3 Sunday games and 1 Monday game. That's what got me.
Yep, first ever Monday night game. Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. So we've got the Dolphins and the Bills on Sunday.
Dolphins Bills, that'll be a good one. But since I called my Bills to go to the Super Bowl before this season even started, I gotta stick by that. Especially with Tua coming out of a concussion protocol again. I don't even know if he plays. But if he does play, I'm not expecting to see the same Tua. I got
me either. Timing's off. Hadn't really had a lot of playing time. So yeah, I definitely see the Bills skirting out of this for sure. Then you've got the Giants at Minnesota.
Minnesota versus Giants. I think they tangled during the regular season and put on a hell of a good game, if I remember correctly. Got a little bit of defense versus offense on this one. Also, Kirk Cousins under the pressure of the prime time eye, trying to break that reputation that he has. This one's going to be another 50-50 call, man. How do you see it going?
I'm going, man, all my people, where you at? New York in the house.
New York.
Hey, I see Big Blue rolling, not rolling over them, but rolling in this one, which is crazy. But I see the Vikings pulling a nothing burger out, even though they're at home. That field is not home field for them. Kirk Cousins is is an enigma. So you just don't know what you're going to get with him. Dalvin Cook is a great back and everything, but so is Saquon Barkley. I think Daniel Jones he's been one of their better runners a lot of times. Sometimes he outruns Saquon as far as yards in the game. Saquon will get some of the harder yards going in the middle and stuff like that. But Daniel Jones will sit there and get around that edge. And unless he trips on his own feet, he's going on down the field. So I'm calling the Giants in this game, which is going to be crazy. And then the Sunday night game, prime time. Woo! It is going to be them Ravens tangling with who they? How about it, Adam? Adam, you going with the Ravens, right?
Yeah. I think he's the biggest Raven fan we got in here, man.
If you're a Baker fan, then he's definitely got to be.
He's definitely got to be. Got some purple and black on somewhere.
Hey, Joe, I think you're right. I think if the Vikings win that game, it's going to be Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson doing their thing. Kirk Cousins just hasn't found Adam Thielen that much in the regular season. Now, that does scare me because is that the game where he rediscovers that Thielen is on the field? Could that be the game? That he doesn't have to zero in on Justin Jefferson, but Adam Thielen is a great receiver too. Plus, they have pulled over Hockenson from Detroit, and Hockenson has been doing a lot better lately for that tight end position. So if Minnesota has a chance to win that game, I don't think it's going to be because of Madison and Cook as much, because if they fall behind early, they're going to have to throw the ball to get themselves back into the game. Adam said, I'd rather be a Ravens fan than Cleveland or Pittsburgh. At least he did.
I knew it. He's a Ravens fan.
At least he didn't say shit. At least he didn't say Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's confirmed.
And then Joe says they got that other guy stepping up though. Can't remember his name. Hockenson. Yep, yeah, him. Osborne is looking good too for Minnesota. That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. They're ball dependent. So we'll see how Kirk Cousins can get them the ball. Osborne. Yep. That definitely can go there. I don't know what it is with the Giants this year. I can't believe I'm all in on the Giants in this game, but I definitely am. Got to pull some upsets because I got to get my standings up in the water cooler too. So, my ex-wife is in third. So anyway, I just don't even know how to make that make sense. Somebody's got to be picking for her. But anyway.
Oh man.
Oh God. Ain't talked to her and God knows when, and that would be the first time I would hear something she win that thing. So please, y'all do something. And then the Monday night football game that we're talking about, it will be Cousins with turnovers. They got like two number one receivers. Giants are going to piss you off. They may fall flat and go back to being the big blue that just makes you feel blue. And that's okay. I'm not married to him. I'm just married to somebody that's a New Yorker that would love to see it, but I don't care. I'm going to leave that one alone, be ex-wife stuff. Hey, I'm good. I don't wake up at 2:00 in the morning with any more severe sweat, so I'm good. TB and TB12. What the hell? You're going for TB? Adam, I'm right there with you, baby. Let's go TB12 one more time before he gets sent out to the sunset. Beat them Cowboys for me. Now, to me, it's a toss-up because I believe the spread on the game is only 3 points.
Right.
Normally, you get 3 points for being the home team. So if you're coming in as the underdog with only 3 points, that ain't saying a whole lot. I mean, if you really are the world beaters that you are on paper, you should be coming in as more than the 3-point favorite.
Yeah,
yeah.
Dallas has been limping in their past couple of games so badly they can't really get any more than that. So
Anthony says somebody needs to hit TB12 and retire his ass. Well, look, with his butt. Well, the problem is that if he even sees you getting close to the center, he just throws the ball in the dirt. So you'll never get to do it. He'll be like, oh, God. Boom. He'll get out of the tackle box sometimes. Throw it to the ground. It ain't like they're going to call grounding on him anyway, but, put that dude out the pasture. Suck. I want both to lose, and that can't happen. What a dilemma. Yeah, there can't be a tie in this game, Joe, so something got to happen. I would rather see Stephen A. Smith on Tuesday morning with his big black cowboy hat, looking at Michael Irvin. Well, Irv shows up on Monday, so he would have to probably wait a week. But I will tune in for Irv being on the show on Mondays and listening to Irv always talking about them Dallas Cowboys, and we do this here, and 88 this and 88 that, and da. I want to see all of that.
I will skip work to see some more sad Cowboy fans.
I want Shannon Sharp to be able, every time Skip get ready to open his mouth, he goes, shut up. Don't you say nothing.
I want to see another montage of sad, crying Cowboy fans.
I want to see the lady again that's looking at them like they ain't worth a damn. I want to see all of that. All the people hanging over the rails, sitting there praying.
That was last year was television gold.
And then they added a little music to it.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. I think me and my wife watched that clip about 18 times, just crying. So yes, if not for any other reason than to see those two shows and watch Southern Steve and Shannon Sharp put Michael Irvin and Skip Bayless respectively in their places, I mean, that's Christmas for me, y'all. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm petty like that, but hell, I'll be petty. I want to know why the Cowboys game have a primetime games. Oh, you didn't ask a Cowboys fan, Anthony? You didn't know they're America's team?
Yeah, that's it.
Now look, Anthony, you got to understand. As much as I hate them, I don't like calling them America's team. They do drive ratings. It's kind of like Duke. Half the people watch because they love you, and the other half watch to see you fail. It's like when Brady played for the Patriots. They got the ratings because people hated Belichick so much. Half of them were, if you weren't from the Massachusetts area, that whole New England area up there, the rest of the country was rooting against you.
Yep.
So, I mean, they drove ratings. Dallas, you can say what you want about them, but they drive ratings. They're the most valued franchise, I think, next to Manchester. So, I mean, you got to give them their props there. I mean, they may not mirror the product on the field that they do with their value and stuff, but they do put butts in seats and eyeballs on TVs and stuff like that. So,
you want to hear crazy? You want to hear a crazy stat, Brian? I heard just the other day, right along those same lines.
Mm-hmm.
The top 100 most watched primetime events of the year. 82 of them were NFL football.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
NFL is king, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Mike gets his suits at K&W bright red. Mike who?
I guess he's talking about Irving.
Oh, God, dog. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he be wearing some of that neon stuff. Hate is such a strong word, but I hate the Cowboys with a passion. Same here, bro. And Joe, you know, just like I do, being in the Charlotte market, that either people down here were Cowboy fans or they were Washington fans. And that made me not have a love for both of them, even though I could tolerate the Washington fans just a little bit more. Yeah, Irvin. But yeah, Dallas fans are the reason that I grew up being an Eagles fan. They turned me off so much that I was like, you know what? I'm going to root against you with one of your own in your division. So I became an Eagles fan a long time ago, way back before even Randall Cunningham and all them days and stuff. So yeah, but it was because I actually used to like the Cowboys. I liked the players. I respected the players back in the Moose days and Emmett and Aikman and all of them. You know, I could stomach them, but the fans were just so terrible. I just said I can't do this. So I went with the Eagles. I used to have some Emmitt Smith shoes. Ran one time. I had 22 shoes. All kinds of stuff, but I burned them. I threw them away because I couldn't take the fans no more. Y'all believing in Geno? Look, you can say what you want about Pete Carroll. but he did something with him. I didn't see it coming. Like I said, at the beginning of the season, when they said they were going to go with Drew Lock and Geno Smith, I laughed. I said, yeah, right. They're going to go get Jimmy G. They're going to go do this. They're going to do that. He stood pat. Geno started churning out games. I believe in Geno. Do I believe Geno can beat the 49ers? Hell no.
No, I don't believe that either, but props to Geno for a fantastic year.
Yeah, if they were, he would have to be, in my mind, a strong candidate for comeback player of the year. Not that he was injured and came back, but he was kind of like in obscurity. He was just on rosters. Yeah. I believe in Pete Carroll. Coaches matter. Big props indeed from Joe. Yeah, Pete Carroll. I mean, I believe in Pete Carroll now because Pete Carroll knew something about Russell Wilson that the rest of us didn't know.
And made a wise decision, boy.
Yeah, he cut, that's a man that knows when holding on starts to hurt your team. And he more than sat there and said, Russ, you want to go? Bye-bye. And he showed him the door. So big props, because that looked like, dude, what are you doing? That's your franchise quarterback. How, And he was going to have to take the heat from that. But he said, you know what? I'm going to let him play a couple of games for Denver, and then y'all can get back at me. Now he looks like a freaking genius. So, yeah, and then he got his team to play in a different level. I picked Seattle to be the fourth team in that division. So it's Purdy starting, right? Mr. Irrelevant is going to the playoffs. How about that?
How about it?
How about that? And is going to more than likely get them to the NFC Championship game.
I believe that too.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, I got my Super Bowl pick, but I'm going to see how this weekend shake out before I give it to y'all. Tune in next week. We'll talk about the first round of these playoffs and everything else. NFL parody at its finest. Amen to that, brother. But we're going to bow out for tonight. Tune in next week and catch up on any other episodes on Amazon Fire TV as well as Roku as well. Ram, appreciate it. We'll see you next week. And y'all take care. Take it easy. Peace.
7 p.m. y'all next Thursday.